We got. Okay. So we have Reverend Ammartek. He's online. He was on call all last night, and so we're so thankful that he can still join us and share with us this morning. He has many titles. He is the Buddhist U.S. Army Reserve Chaplain. He's the hospital chaplain at Wake Med Hospital. He was on call all last night, and he's the Buddhist chaplain here at Duke University. And today he's going to talk to us about Buddhist mindfulness, meditation in daily life. So welcome, Reverend Ammartek.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see all of us on Zoom and also on the classroom too. I wish I could be there and see everyone face to face, but like I said, I had some thing coming up at the hospital last night that could be able to not be able to be on campus today. But blessing you all for this morning, and the weather is nice and it's a good Sunday, and it's my honor to be a guest speaker today to talk about Buddhism and mindfulness meditation. It might have been out of your faith tradition a little bit, and then just it's my honor that to bring something that to the community at Duke, and then so something that we understand each other, and then we can work together as well. So I will start off with sharing my PowerPoint that I prepared for today. So everyone see my screen now?
And thank you.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna start off with the a little bit background of Buddhism in USA so that everyone can see kind of a broad picture about Buddhism a little bit. So I was going to start off back in 1820, where the Chinese immigrants arrived in the US. So that's the first picture that Buddhism come to USA, which is very new if we're talking about the history. And I want to highlight on 1853, it took about almost 30 years to form or building the temple, which is, we have the first Buddhist temples in America built in San Francisco. That was the first Buddhist built temples in the USA. And move forward into 1896, where not just a small group in the West, then more of the Chinese, and then we have more of Japanese temple too, built in Hawaii, which is high density of Buddhist population in Hawaii. And eventually we have the second Buddhist temple there in Hawaii, and move forward to 1900. So overall, by the time of 80 years, we have approximately mainly a Chinese Buddhist temple in the West Coast. It's about 400. So that's kind of a picture how amounts of the Buddhist temple in the USA. So now the picture of Buddhists in the US, we approximately 1% of population, according to US Census survey in 2021. So that's the kind of a broad picture of Buddhists in the USA. And Buddhism, we had mainly, had three main regions. Technically, it was two, which is Theravada and Mahayana. And Mahayana, they have a sub region, which is Vajrayana. So Theravada is mainly in Southeast Asia, and Mahayana is most of Korea, Japan, China, Tibetan, and Mongolia, like those countries. So this is the regions of Buddhism that I want to bring the broad picture for everyone for today. Then I will move forward to some of the questions that Nelson brought it up to let us see and what the Buddhist people in America, what the conception or what it looked like, the cultural, family, so far, so forth of Buddhist people in the USA. So I highlight some of the misconception that I encountered while I was here in the USA. So one thing is mainly people thought that Buddhism is just philosophy, it's not religions. To me, I think because in the early history of Buddhists have been come to the West, the teacher and the leader of Buddhist or scholar back in 18th, 19th century, we sort of teaching more of philosophy than real religion, like a pure homeland back in original country in Asia. It's show that what is something showing more of a philosophy than religion is sort of showing people will interpret in the West, interpret that it's Buddhists seem to be philosophy than religions. That was my assumption, my thought on and kind of reflection on that. And the second misconception that I encounter a lot as I work in the hospital, work at the U.S. Army Chaplain, and also just start at Duke too, seem to be majority of the people see that Buddhist people have to meditate only. You know, that's the main thing of Buddhists. When they talk about the Buddhists, just seeing that Buddhist people will just doing meditation only. There's something, it's misconception on that. Basically, it's not all Buddhist people that meditate. There was some that I would say about 30-40% that mainly like a leader or congregation, monks, nun, or spiritual leader, they sort of stick on the routine of meditation. General Buddhist people sometimes they just do a little bit, not like majority of the meditation that they do in our daily life. And the third thing of misconception that I have seen so far is a statue of the Buddha decoration as art. I have seen a lot in the West where they use the Buddha statue decoration in the garden, sometime in hotel, or sometime in house that were showing as art instead of respect in the prayer room or in the Buddha hall, stuff like that, which is kind of a culture shock for some of the Buddhist people if they come to the West. But as the time go by, people seem to be accepted that too. It's kind of integration in the West, but we might not see that in the Pure Lands of Buddhism where they kind of pay high respect to the statue of the Buddha. So we kind of trying to keep in the secret place, like in the Buddha hall, or if you keep in the house, they kind of building in some area that kind of show respect on the Buddha statue. And the last one that I would like to point out is the misconception about reincarnation and rebirth. This term is kind of similar, but as scholar or who been deeply studying Buddhism, will tell that it's different. Reincarnation mainly will related to Hindu, where they believe in soul that could be reincarnated in one body, where they believe in just the soul that's unchangeable or the soul is permanent. Why the rebirth is more related to Buddhism. The Buddha said, actually, we are impermanent. It's not permanent. And basically, we rebirth in different form, not just in the same body. This is the concept is different from reincarnation and rebirth on this term. So this is something that I want to share that I have seen and saw some misconception about Buddhism. And so the next question, what do you wish anyone to know about religions? So the Buddhist religions, I want to point out is the way of life, the wheel of Dharma, which is the Buddha enlightened. The wheel of life, we talk about the Eightfold Noble Truth and also Eightfold Paths. This is the wheel of Dharma, and it's moving and allow the way of life moving. As you're practicing and following the wheel of life or the Dharma of the Buddha, and your life will moving in the right direction. Just this is something we have been practicing and follow the wheel of Dharma. And the main core teaching, the whole of the Buddha teaching is, we call the heart of the teaching, which is to avoid evil, to cultivate good, and to cleanse your own minds. So this is kind of broad picture. As Buddhist people, if you practicing Buddhism, you should know that this is the main goal. As you're trying to practice it and doing this, will eventually you will moving into the right direction of your own life and your own destiny. And one thing I would like to share and wish that, especially for Buddhist people too, that mainly we tend to be to just study and we forgot to apply into practicing. So if we know the Dharma or the Buddha teaching and then we not really apply or trying to practice, adapt and practice it in our life, then the knowledge of the Dharma is useless. So this is something that we are encourage Buddhist people or whoever trying to practice and follow the Buddhist teaching will get into practices. And the last one that I would like to know about my religion is the Dharma or the Buddha teaching is like medicines of the mind, which is the leader or the main principle of human being of life, because we lead by our own mind. We get success in life or do things successfully, which is lead by your own mind. If your mind is faster or your mind not be able to lead your own body, then you will be miserable in life. So in order to let the mind be a good leader, you have to have the way to develop your mind, practicing to train your own mind. So in order to develop your mind, somehow we as human beings, we're struggling. We tentatively to get distracting in life a lot. Then we get sick, the mind gets sick. So we need the medicine of the mind, which is in Buddhism, we use the Dharma, what Buddha discovered and enlightened, to be a medicine of the mind. So to cure your own mind so that you can be able to train and moving forward and get success in your life. So this is something I want to share about my religions. And the next question is how does your religion affect on day-to-day basis? So it's kind of related to previous question that how we can be able to use the Dharma and religions of the Buddha in day-to-day life. So Buddha have been teaching a lot, mainly focus on the suffering. That is the main goal in our life. So the goal is allow yourself to practicing and follow to have less suffering or get rid of the suffering. That's the main goal. But as we are human being, we tend to get distraction a lot. We have to deal with a lot of challenges in life. We also tend to have a lot of obstacles in life. So as soon as we trying to understand your suffering and loosen it up and allow yourself to be able to work with that suffering or have less suffering. That was something that in day-to-day basis is for Buddhist people trying to do and trying to follow. With the Dhamma, most of the time, the important thing is to strengthen the relationship to yourself, especially start from the self first, build your own self-awareness and self-control. With that, this allows you to have building a good relationship to people surround you, your families, your community, also your country too, as you develop yourself with self-awareness and self-control. This is something that day-to-day basis for Buddhist people have to observe and practicing to allow yourself to have a spiritual growth of self-awareness and self-control. And above and beyond of that is we meet every Sunday, but back in the Pure Land, we meet on the full moon days. But here in the US, Buddhist people seem to be adapted to be meeting or gathering on Sunday to allow everyone to come to do worship, chanting, practicing meditation, and study Dhamma or Dhamma talk from the master of the temple or spiritual leader at the temple. This allow us to be able to share knowledge and practicing together as community. This is something is day-to-day basis of overall Buddhist community practicing on day-to-day basis.
If I may, or were you saying that in Asia, typically there is worship once a month, or it's weekly in addition to full moon?
In Thailand, we worship, that's a good question right there, Nelson. We worship on 4 times a month, follow the lunar moon. We have break it down like it 1 to 8 and then 8 to the 16 and then it fall into the lunar moons. So we meet 4 times a month. That tradition they will have at the temple. They meet at the temple on the lunar calendar. So it will change. We don't have the fixed date like every Sunday like this. Yeah, for the Buddhist country. So we move on to the next question. What does religion and family look like in Buddhist family? So we born it through Dharma practices. So we're trying to pass this on to generation as well, like younger teenager to get involved to practicing and study Dharma, because we believe that when we start a younger age, it helps them to be able to get used to and be able to adapt it to those Dharma practices in their life too. And also we apply loving kindness and compassion within the family based on love and compassion that will help our generation to be more mature, be more kindness to the people and community. And based upon practicing, we preserve 5 precepts. which is the ethical framework for the family to allow them to stay in a good moral conduct in life. So this is the basic principle of Buddhist people and family that we observe and practicing as a family in the USA. Then we move on to next question. Does your religion seek converts? Why or why not? So in Buddhism, if some of you may have been noticed that we does not have an accepted or a strong proselytized tradition. We not proselytize people to believe and practicing. So I quote from the word that the Buddha said, Sanditiko Akaliko Pachatang Veditabo. This is in Pali, that the Buddha said that the Dhamma that he have been enlightened and discovered is the truth, is something that we're not supposed to proselytize or force people to believe in practicing. It's on them if they feel they get benefit out of the practicing and they gain more happiness in life and less suffering. That's something they will pursue, they will do on their own. So the Buddha is not encourage disciple and follower to proselytize or trying to convert people to believe what we have been believed or what we have been practices. And what is your perspective of the other faiths? So my perspective on the other faith, as I work with different chaplains and also pastor as well. So we at Buddhists, we are open-minded to learn from the other faith too. Even the Buddha himself, he also learned from the other teacher. Before he get enlightened, he learned from different guru back in the time of his time. One of the 5 disciples that he later become his disciple used to be his teacher too. So we have been taught and trained to respect the other faith because everyone have the purpose of to get a good wisdom and knowledge. As soon as when you learn from the other, you might get enlightened from the other too. And if some of you may know the Thien Nhat Hanh, that Vietnamese monk, he also wrote books a lot about, you know, the Buddha and the Jesus, like loving Christ, loving Buddha. That book is wonderful to explain how we have to understand each other and how we be able to gain some knowledge and insights of the knowledge from each other. So we tentatively to more open and learn and get knowledge from the other teacher too. And my perspective on religions, all religions, as we have focused on nonviolent peace, love, and harmony to the community and the country. So I think that was something that we have to understand each other and learn from each other, so we can live in peace and harmony. That's my perspective on other faiths. And origin, morality, and destiny and purpose. So Buddhism was found in the late 6th century BCE by Gautama Buddha. And the teaching of the Buddhism, like I said, we emphasize on self-discipline, generosity, non-violence, and compassion. This is the main moralities of concept of the Buddhism. And the purpose and destiny will be free or less suffering to attain nirvana, which is the free from suffering. That would be the highest goal at Buddhist practicing around the world. That was something that I had for concept or understanding Buddhist practicing in the USA. And now I will move forward into one of the teaching that we have been, I would say it would be a core practicing, or most of Buddhist people will practicing a lot, which is meditation. And there was total of 40 techniques of meditation in Buddhism, but the most popular one that I would like to present and share today is mindfulness breathing meditation, or in Pali we call anapanasati, which is allow yourself to practicing, bring your awareness into the breathing techniques to allow yourself to gain the inner peace or serenity of the mind. So what is the mindfulness meditation? Like I said, being mindful with your awareness at the present moment of here and now by observing your own breath. It's going to be something that you have to practicing and gain and experience that by yourself in order to get into the mindfulness meditation by practicing being here and now in that present moment, to just be with your breath only. It tentatively, majority of the people, sometimes we trying to grab on happiness outside. We thought that we can grab the happiness around the world. We get a lot of things around us that we can get we feel enjoy and happy. But in Buddhism, the Buddha taught that the real happiness is inside you, which is allow yourself to contemplate and be mindful, be aware and be observed on your breath, and your mind calm, relax, and gain the inner peace of the mind. That's just the real happiness, which is kind of a sustain a little bit more than the happiness that we're trying to grab from outside world. The mindfulness meditation, like as I mentioned, that we will trying to do to focus, to allow yourself, to invite yourself to bring your awareness and attention to be with the body, which is through the body, like the earth I'm talking about is something that hard within your body, meaning like the bone and the water. There's something liquid within your body is like the blood, and the fire is the temperature that allow your body to maintain the level of the healthy of the body. You have to stay in the certain temperature to maintain the good healthy body. And the wind is something that we have to rely on. We have to breathe in and breathe out to allow yourself to be able to gain the oxygen and to be living as human being. Is something that we have to bring and pay attention to the body to observe this way. And also observe the feelings that we have to encounter in our daily life, how you feel. This is allow yourself to have self-control and self-awareness of your own feeling. And the mind, of course, in our day, we have to deal a lot with the thought, thinking, overthinking. This is something that you have to be aware and pay attention where you at of your own mind. And the last one is the Dhamma. It's sort of allow yourself to analyze and understanding the true nature of things around you, especially something that we have to deal with the suffering, something that we have to deal with the changing, the body changing. Something surround you is always changing. Nothing will stay permanent, so that you will not attach us to those things. If you not get what you want and you're not so disappointed, and you kind of acknowledge and understand the true nature of the Dhamma. So this is the basics or kind of guideline on how you be able to use this technique to help you to calm and relax your own mind and understanding, and allow your mind to stay still and focus and gain the inner peace of the mind that you're practicing mindfulness meditation. So before we practicing mindfulness meditation, most of the time, at tradition that we practicing, you can practice anywhere, practice at home, at work, while you driving, taking a shower, brush your teeth, so far, so forth. So you can practice at any time as you moving and doing things. Allow yourself to pay attention every single minute that you do things in life. That's something that we can adapt this technique into our daily life. But for some people want to get in more deeper level of mindfulness meditation, we will arrange their own time to practice it in quiet place, or allow themselves to gain more inner peace a longer time at the practicing of mindfulness meditation. So the first things before practicing is allow yourself to leave everything behind. As we know, human being and our life, we get so caught up on many things, family, work, in 24 hours, sometimes we kind of overwhelming a lot of things. But in order to get practicing something that we have to allow yourself to kind of lift everything from your shoulder. Just now is something that you're gonna contribute to develop and train your mind to gain more of awareness and concentration, to gain the quality of the mind and to develop your own mind. So you have to leave everything behind. Just allow yourself to pay attention on practicing only. As we practicing a lot at the beginning, we're gonna deal with a lot of thought, because thought is something that we tentatively to deal a lot as we practicing to quiet the mind. Just sometimes for us, when we get started, just even 1 minute to sit still and observe your breath, but the thought will come in first. The thought will distract you to think about that, about this, it's wandering a lot. That's the nature of the mind, that you have to deal a lot with a lot of thought at that time. As we practicing mindfulness meditation, we will try not to force your own thoughts or your own mind. Allow yourself to accept it and be friendly with your own mind. That is the best friend ever, that you be friend with your own mind. Sometimes we tentatively to force our mind, which is the more you force your own mind, that you kind of feel that it's harder to be able to calm your mind. And meditation is a journey. It's not a short practicing that you can gain in a couple of days, a week. It's a journey. It's going to take time, effort, and consistency to be able to gain the benefits out of that. Sometimes you might have to set a routine to be able to set yourself into practicing. And for Buddhist practicing, we observe the 5 precepts as the ground foundation to allow your mind to easily concentrate and calm and relax. If you do not have the ground morality, it's hard to be able to train your mind and practicing mindfulness meditation. And one technique that I usually guided a student and soldier and patient in the hospital is just a simple techniques, like the breathing in, knowing that you're breathing in, breathing out, knowing that you're breathing out. Allow yourself to observe the sensation that you're breathing in. Allow yourself to feel the sensation, the tension, and the feelings as you're practicing. If you capture or observe the tension as you're practicing, allow yourself to let it go of that tension the tension of the body, the tension of the mind, the tension of emotion that you kind of angry or disappointed. This is something that is a simple techniques. Allow yourself to observe, feel, release, observe, feel, release. As you're practicing of mindfulness meditation with observing your breath. As we're practicing, we're going to deal a lot with the awareness. Allow yourself to be that present moment, non-judgmental, because after practicing the mind, trying to think, analyze, and stuff like that, but after practicing mindfulness, allow yourself to just observing instead of make a judgment, what it look like, it's good or bad, hot, cold, just observing. That's how you train your mind to be calm and relax and gain equanimity of the mind. And when you deal with the anything, just allow yourself to observe as the way it is. The benefits of mindfulness meditation, I would like to bring it up a little bit, is reduce anxiety, stress, and improving your sleep, mental health, cognitive improvement, increase emotional regulation, stronger relationship, and build strong inner peace and happiness in life. This is sort of benefits of practicing meditation. I want to show some of the picture that from incense.org medical team, they do testing on practicing mindfulness meditation that help the patient that they have stress and anxiety. That you can see this is the brain of stress and anxiety of the patient. When they practice mindfulness meditation for 15 minutes, that's how they will be able to reduce stress and anxiety. And the longer time they gain the serenity of mindfulness meditation, that's how they will be able to reduce the amounts of stress and anxiety from the brain. That's just some of the study. Even nowadays, in medical constitution, they have been trying to use mindfulness techniques to have the patient that have anxiety or stress. And even in the military too, we have courses for soldiers that allow them to practicing meditation. In prison too, we have some courses for mindfulness meditation that allow inmates to practicing about mindfulness meditation to reduce stress and anxiety. So this is the my teaching today about Buddhism in the USA and mindfulness meditation, and then I will leave to question that anyone might have for me at this time. And thank you so much for having me for the class today.
So what happens to the body and the soul after death?
What happened after the body and the soul after death?
Yes.
That's a great question. I will answer in perspective of Buddhism. With the soul, as we believe in rebirth, the soul itself in Buddhism, we believe in, we call law of karma. Karma is the action that you have done while you live as human being, whether good or bad. Once you do a good karma, you accumulate we call the karmic consequences, which is it allows you to be rebirth in the better place. If you collected a bad karma, you will collect a karmic consequence in the bad karma. It tentatively you'll be rebirth in the different form, which is in the lower form. And once you die, that soul still wandering in different form based upon your karma, good or bad karma. You can we left the body, and the soul is wandering based upon where, how much of the good karma and bad karma you accumulate. You're gonna be born in a better place if you have more of the good karma, and if you will have more of the bad karma, tentatively be born in a lower place. That's how we have been taught about Buddhism. In order to be rebirth in a better place, you have to try to do a good karma in this life. Do I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
On the flip side of that,
Zen Buddhism, and how is it different from the Theravada and Mahayana Buddhism?
I want to make sure that I hear you correctly. You talk about Zen Buddhism.
Zen Buddhism.
Okay, so Zen Buddhism, Zen is part of Mahayana. Zen Buddhism has been practicing in Japan. Majority of the Zen Buddhism be in Japan, and then with the immigration from Japan to the USA, you tentatively see more Zen Buddhism in America as well. So it's not different, but it caused sort of modernized of Mahayana. Mahayana, if we in Christianity, will be trying to think the term that used to be, correct me if I'm wrong, like used to be, I'm trying to think the term compared to Christianity, that later on become a Protestant. So what is the original one? Then similar to that, the Mahayana, same thing. What's that?
Are you reaching for the word Catholic?
Oh, Catholic. Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, Catholic and then Protestant. So like an umbrella of that, Mahayana. So we have Zen Buddhism, similar to that the kind of modernized practicing of Mahayana practices.
going back to the first question about what happens to the soul or the body after death, think of like the beginnings of the origins of the universe, origins of humanity, the world, Earth, humanity, the universe. What's the overall Buddhist perspective, the origin of humanity and just the world we're living in?
Oh, that's a great question. So in Buddhist perspective, the origin of the world and humanity, the Buddha said, human being exists itself. The story of the human being is from the soul of the deva, of the angel that come to the earth and eat the soils of the land and transform from the soils of the land, that the body getting heavier, then they cannot go back to the heaven. That is how human exists as what the Buddha taught. And so that was something that we tentatively to think that as human being we make a mistake, we eat too much, and then we cannot go back to the heaven or the angel, become an angel again. So the perspective of Buddhism, it's allow yourself to cultivate the mind or practicing the Dharma or the teaching to get enlightened, to gain or attain Nirvana, which is have less suffering, so that we can be emptiness or reaching the level of the Nirvana where we came from the angel, which is no suffering. Now we reborn as human being. Now we still get suffer as if we still as a human being, even we not be able to accomplish in one life. So we to have reform and rebirth again and again until we accumulate a good karma to be able to reach Nirvana and be free from suffering and be in that the Nirvana state of the angel.
mentioned there are 40 different techniques of meditation, and you told us about one. Like, what are just brief, I mean, what are some of the examples of the others that are popular?
Yes, that's a great question right there. So the other 39, there will be, it's based on we call personality, preference, and character of the person who have been interested in practicing. I just bring it in general first. They have 4 kinds of the people that tentatively in Buddhist practicing we call Buddha Charita, meaning that people have love to think a lot, love to use the brain, think a lot, overthinking, stuff like that. So there will be the technique in that one. There was 10 techniques that for overthinking people. For example, one of the techniques that for people that tentatively overthinking, like allow yourself to focus on the flame of the fire. We call Teshona Kasina practices. Just because people that thinking a lot, not be able to just close your eye. When you close your eye, you're gonna wondering and thinking more and more. So this technique is good for this kind of people that allow yourself to do not close your eye, I'm sorry. Just allow yourself to observe, contemplate the flame of the fire until your mind calm, relax with that frames of the mind. This is a sample of one of the techniques. Another techniques that beyond that is people that have more of a desire, or people that tentatively feeling in a lot of things that they love, like a pleasure, stuff like that. There was the technique allow yourself to observe some dirty stuff like the dead body or the blood or kind of all kind of techniques for those people that have a lot of desire, to reduce the amounts of the desire. And this is just a sample of one of the 40 techniques. There was a lot of that too. And if anyone interested, I can send email to Nelson, and Nelson can, if somehow that I can share that to the group, if something that someone from the group interested, I would love to.
That would be good. And I guess a question I have, to be a student of Christianity a couple thousand years ago, I guess one would need to know Greek. And obviously there are people who participated in services, went through the motions, understood some things secondhand. And then a few hundred years later, when the Catholic Church was the Catholic churches were the dominant forms of organized Christianity. To be a real student, you needed to be able to read and at least read Latin or some other language. I'm wondering, given the geographic homes of the different branches of Buddhism that you've referred to, do you need to know multiple East Asian languages to feel like you're reading the texts accurately, or are they all widely translated now into other languages, such as English or American?
Yeah, that's a great question right there. I think it's a working in progress right now, because the text, the biblical languages we study was the Pali and Sanskrit back in the Buddha time. So the Buddhist Bible, or we call Tripitaka itself, in form of Pali, and it's just very difficult and challenges for a scholar to interpret in the same meanings. That's something that we tentatively to have a lot of seminar meetings and we also train typically to have a, we call a sorting Tripitaka or Buddhist canon to reform and trying to interpret in the same direction. That would be a challenge too, to know the languages in Pali and Sanskrit. And back in Thailand, where I used to be a monk, so we have to study these languages. It takes a long time to learn, and it's very, very difficult to understand and pass the exam. And there was a few monks that can pass the exam. So that would be something that to learn Pali and Sanskrit, if you learn those languages, you most likely you'll be able to understand the logic and the core teaching of the Buddha well, instead of learning from someone that interpreted for you. That was something that was my thought on that.
Can women be Buddhist monks?
Say it again, sir. I'm heard that the weird.
Can women be Buddhist monks?
Oh yes, yes. Women can be a Buddhist monk in Mahayana, Theravada tradition. We seem to have less of women that become a Buddhist monk. We call bhikkhuni because of the challengings of the organization. Because Theravada seem to give the origin of what the Buddha has said, so that it make more difficult to establish to have a female to become a Buddhist monk. Whereas Mahayana, they're more open, they're more adapted to the culture, so that they still have a female Buddhist monk in Mahayana tradition that you can see in Korea, Japan, Tibet, but you will see less in the Southeast Asia, where Theravada still strict to the rule. Theravada sometimes similar to Catholic, that trying to preserve original, so that it make it harder for female to become a female monks on Theravada tradition.
Regarding complex social issues, let's say like war, racism, injustice, what does Buddhism bring to both the individual and or possible society, or just to help these complex problems that the world faces?
Okay, so let me repeat that question again. You said how Buddhism perspective on
complex social issues, for instance, war, injustice, racism, poverty, global pandemics, just complex problems that dominate the news cycle and affect thousands or millions of humans.
Okay, yeah. Buddhism perspective on culture overall, racism, Buddhism perspective on that, we believe everyone equally. We tentatively respect everyone as your own mother. This is something the Buddha taught, that we not just the people based on their race. We respect everyone as your own mother, and that's regardless of the color. And the blood is the same blood, same color. This is something about racism. About the justice, Buddhist culture, justice and poverty, and those kind of overall economic term, we teach and taught, Buddha taught that wealth is good, but when you have wealth, you have to share to bring the harmony to the world and the community. Because when you're born with the empty hand, and when you leave with empty hand. So if you gain wealth and allow yourself to share and contribute, or like I mentioned on the slides about generosity, that was the big thing in Buddhism, that allow yourself to do generosity, or we call donation or dana. So Buddhist culture and Buddhist tradition is very, very big on generosity and sharing to the other, so that we can live in the better world. In war, of course, Buddhists never ever support war at all. But especially in terms of violence, and in Pali we call ahimsa, we tentatively to stick on the precept that we preserve no harm to self and the other, not just the other, just the self too. So if we follow and practicing what the Buddha taught, so the world will be living in a better world, will be no war, will be no fighting against from each other. So that this is my perspective on that.
It must be everybody fears that their questions are so big they will take more time than we have left to to get an answer.
Good one.
For those of you in the classroom or anyone that might be interested in any information, that he does email me. I guess Melody or Bodhi can make sure that you learn my email address if you do not already know it. rundeep@marilynstrother.com. And one bit of clarification, the initial triggering questions, credit goes to Douglas Gallo for those. I was just the messenger. He helped start us down this path with his class about a month ago, and we will continue down this path with learning more about other faith traditions in another month or two. Thank you very much for your teachings today.
But in the classroom, there are actually 16 in here right now. I know you can't see them all, but I would love for us to show him our appreciation as well. If we can get him.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next week, we have
Next week.
Von Kemp, who is a retired clinical psychologist and family therapist. And the teaching will be Music and Mourning, the Brahms Requiem through the lens of grief. So that will be next week. So thank you again. We truly enjoyed it, and we appreciate all the information and you answering our questions. And thank you all, and have a great day. And if y'all do need Nelson's email, I How are you?